you're doing well. FOMC day today, Wednesday, the 17th of the 8th, 2022. On the risk calculation, we're risk on at the big picture and at the 24-hour change. And this has been a concurrent theme for the last 9 or 10 days, is that every day this has increased. So what that tells us, that for every one person buying the S&P or the Dow or the DAX or the FTSE, there's nearly 12 people trying to short indices on average. So they're very, very bearish, retail guys. So the dumb money are very short, but they're adding. And so that's the key, right? That's the time component. This is the statics. This is where we are now. This is what they're doing over time. And that tells us the distance over time, right? VIX is below 20 as well. And so that's a big deal. Bubbles are a bit strange today, but we'll talk about those in a bit. And so that's 11.964. We can go to minus 15, and the most we've seen is, I think, minus 19, and then they blow themselves up. And they're reading the news. As you see, that's the trouble. They're reading the news and they're pressing the sell button, but they're not doing their own analysis. They're not looking at the sentiment. However, that being said, that the yields did rise over the last 24 hours. So they're anticipating some risk off from FOMC. It's just apprehension and anticipation, and the yield curve is still quite out of bonk, to be honest with you. It's not steepening so much. We're sort of seeing a flattening. So what we want is these to become higher and these to come down, and then we get like a diagonal, and we don't really want that. It's not very healthy. So AU and EU and probably NU, you could argue, UK 100 and US oil are the standouts. Maybe you want things to align, red, red, green, green, red, red, okay? And you just look at your charts, look at an AU chart, look at an EU chart. They're looking quite bearish, and that's because of the sentiment. And probably could say about the fundamentals as well, the euro. So the dollar is actually strengthening quite a bit, but that's probably to be expected because of the minutes later. And whether or not it's going to see continued strength, we don't really know for sure. It could be setting up for a sell for the dollar. So this has changed dramatically since yesterday. And this fluctuates a lot as well. I think our best approach is to take intraday perspective, because if you're trading the USD, you can get a little bit chopped up because it can just change on a dime, especially of these big risk events at FOMC. So it might be setting up for a short. So be careful. And so it's the difference from last Wednesday. Our average bubbles, so the bubbles are working, right? The API is working, but it's not downloading the data automatically. So we can get data, but I have to sit here and click buttons, which isn't really ideal. This is why I've got the app script running, so I can just click the debug button and then it just runs the code. However, that being said, we have got the trade of the day in Discord. So if you're a QDB subscriber, check the intraday trade ideas. You see like a lightning bolt, and there's something in there that's of note, and you'll note that it's working as you'd expect, because the bubbles are pretty fantastic. So if you want to join us, there's a Discord link, or contact me on Telegram, or you can talk to me on Twitter. I don't really check Twitter so much, but you can contact me there if you wanted to. That's fine. Maybe Telegram or Discord might be better if you wanted to ask questions. But we've got a nice trade set up there, and we'll see how we go with that. This is how we stand. So green's a buy and red's a sells. So, note gold, for example. Dollar CAD was naughty this week. At a high level it's a sell, but you probably would have noticed the shifting on the dollar CAD. We'll probably be going into green, so we have to be careful. It's not necessarily where we are now, but where we're going. And that's the tricky part. We need to look at the time. This is time. Okay, this is what they're doing over time. Normally they're wrong, right? So we try and do the opposite. See, they sell there, right? So they went long, price fell. They shorted it, price went up. It does the opposite all the time. They sold it, so price come up. However, I wonder whether or not, because they got so obliterated this week, whether or not they're just going to get a little bit of respite and a little bit of payday, because they've been bullied and they might leave the casino. So we might possibly see a payday scenario develop for the retail guys. They've got absolutely like whitewashed this week. I think we had 83% failure rate yesterday on currencies, let alone the indices. 83% of people were losing money yesterday. It's really scary. And we can see that on that spreadsheet on the failure rate. See, US 30 is actually making a sell, but it's really sideways. So I put a little note on Discord about that. It's a bit too sideways for me, really. What you want to try and detect are these surges. So there's a sudden sell there. So you get a big reaction. If it's going sideways, and we're not really going to see a reaction. Another sell here. These would have been news induced because the sheep love to read their news. And probably, if you want my advice, maybe stay away from Twitter because that can do some damage. Because if you're reading like a Zero Hedge article and something's happening like in Taiwan, you're probably going to think, oh, this is bearish. And of course, you did forget that you're forming a majority. A herd majority. So maybe less time on social media. Maybe it's up to you. There's the buy because they sold it. But I wonder whether or not they're just going to get a bit paid today. They might just continue to get bullied. But there's the level of interest. I mean, we probably shouldn't be breaking that because it would mean that they would be profiting. So that's the level of interest there. It's a long way away. It's a long way away. It's 615 points. So I don't know if it might just be horribly not payday for them and they're going to get destroyed. Gold, they're making a sell, and you would have seen something in Discord about the gold as well, the FXSI analysis. So that's looking quite heavy, and they really went long here for some reason. They really tried to buy this tip, and they got really punished. So that's that. Today's liquidity targets, we've got a new stop loss cluster, and it's pound yen, which is really interesting because AU is normally the largest stop loss cluster, which is very bizarre. I don't really understand why. But it's normally, that has the largest stop loss clusters. Don't ask me why. But pound yen is now the largest one, and it's below, and it's fairly large at 4.61. The largest mover is dollar CAD towards sell. However, yesterday it was the largest mover towards buy. So the dollar CAD is flip-flopping extremes back and forth. So if you were wise, I'd probably avoid this because you're just going to get chopped up. Especially if you're looking at sentiment as well, because you're looking at analysis. It's saying buy one day, sell the next day, and you're going to get chopped up. So I think an intraday way of looking at things are better. I wouldn't want to be swing trading that because it flip flops so much on the sentiment. So it would be really difficult unless you're a tiny micro lot and you're just trying to swing trade it. Maybe you've got like a long term idea about where it's going. I think intraday would be easier, and also you can know where your stops are, and if you get stopped out at a small loss, it's certainly better than a medium or large loss, isn't it? If you're swing trading on a micro lot, it can still hurt if it goes the wrong way, so you always have to know your stops, where your stop is. And this is a new addition, just to say that they've shorted CAD and they've longed Aussie. We were looking at that sort of brown colour, so if they're going long, it's bearish. If they short it, it's bullish. Pound is off no. Okay, so do note that they've sold the pound, so that might be worth looking at, and maybe something where pound Aussie or something like that. Where you're trying to get the shift in, strong versus weak, for example. The dollar obviously was sold, hence the strength that you see in the dollar. So after the 1st September, we're getting close now. Is that the Quasidb code at FXSI is gonna. Well, it's going to lose some of its power and we're going to have 10% discount. Currently, it's a humongous discount if you use the Quasidb code. It would cost you $31 after September. Now you get it at $10, so get an annual plan and you get it locked in. If you get an annual plan after the 1st of September, it's going to cost you $360. Get it now, it's $121. So it's a huge saving. So get it while you can, and that's what I'm 100% going to do. It just makes sense that you would do that, especially as you know how powerful the indicators are as well. 61% is fine. That will change. I wonder if maybe I'll just quickly look at that actually, just out of interest. And I made a statement in Discord about the spreadsheet. We're going to have a new spreadsheet for the weekend, and we're going to have a haircut. 71% now. So you see how it happens. They were 61% at a loss, and now they're at 71% at a loss, and it will just destroy them each and every day. So yeah, a high score tells us that they're getting punished. A low score is that they're getting paid. Okay, poor guys. And we had 83% yesterday, which is horrendous, really. There's so much losses. Euro pound, we had a 7 pip profit. This isn't fantastic, but we're still having slight issues with the API as well. But it's not a massive loss, which is something. Also, we've got apprehension for the FOMC. And Tuesday was one of the largest shifts in FX that I'd seen for a long time. So I'd imagine some repercussion from that. If we're going to see a massive turbulence on Tuesday, Wednesday's probably going to be like a hangover. So if we get a signal today, well, we have got 2 signals, I apologise. Just be careful. We've got 2 signals currently, and we'll have to see how we go with that. Technically, they're okay. They have to be okay because they have to meet really strong technical criteria. Whether or not it's going to be payday for the retail guys today, which I think it might happen because they've just been so destroyed. So these are the ones that we would get is EU, dollar yen, or euro pound. We won't get any others because they're neutral and they've got to be strong buy or strong sell. Okay. And once the sentiment lines up, we'll get the notification. However, be careful, the 7 o'clock risk event UK time. And that's that. And then all eyes on that basically. So just trade carefully, always keep calm and trade safely. So I'm going to be, I'll be working on my spreadsheet, I think, for the rest of the week. I'm going to keep my trades small, I think, and I'm going to be probably trading after this. I don't know if I want to trade it before. I think maybe we might see a little sell-off on the dollar, potentially. So there might be an opportunity there, but we'll have to wait and see. So lots of work for me. For now, we're going to get the data imported manually, which sucks quite a bit, but that's fine. I just have to click the debug button and it just runs the code. So have a great day. And what I will do on Discord is I will tell you guys when the spreadsheet's ready, and then it will go live Sunday, Monday. And then, you guys got access to that. And you could probably argue it needs a haircut. There's quite a lot of stuff we might not necessarily need. They're useful, but we could probably do with maybe having a haircut, just trimming some of that volume out of the sheet because it's probably lagging quite a bit as well. But this will definitely remain because this is really useful, the failure rate. And Marco stuff as well, obviously that will stay. All right, so have a great day. I won't waffle anymore and I'll speak to you tomorrow.